maybe somebody else wants to join. You want to run to your office and all?
Did you have it set up for others to join?
Well, we said not to set up for others to join.
Right,
Because if we had one, we had to invite them all.
right.
Did you invite me to join?
Yeah. See if he joins now. Thanks, we could have been in big trouble. Sick the guts on you when she found out we didn't have it uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah, send her my way. I got a phone.
She would send a representative to you.
Yeah. Not talking to him.
I know that guy. Well, it makes sense anyway, the LSP, we get basically special ed a lot. Special ed consultation, speech language pathology. We get our school psychologist for special ed services. We do get a nurse, she comes Tuesday afternoons and Wednesday mornings. Our special ed coaches or teachers can utilize the coaching. And we get some technology out of that. Those are really the things that we get the most. We do get a certified librarian, which we have to have for Division 22. So our virtual library, and then the rest is for everybody. So that's the local service one. And then the other ones are just for information. You can join.
Yeah. I didn't get an invitation.
Yeah.
Great. One of the things that jumped out to me was these opt-out districts. This is it's withdrawal payments for Baker Tilly Chemical and Eagle. What's that mean? Are we?
If we did not approve the local service plan and we voted to opt out of the ESP, then we would be on our own for these things. And we would check,
Okay.
we'd get that money back.
Looking at the range of services they provide, I kind of challenged to see how any district would need that. I mean, without having a service district.
So, for example, Hermiston's big enough to be able to hire their own speech language pathologists and school psychologists. Baker, with their FTE,
Yeah.
can hire that. Cove kind of jumps on, and Pine Eagle kind of jumps on the Baker.
Okay.
Contract with Baker to do those services, so kind of how that works. And I thought, yeah, we would not be able to do that probably by option. And then we do some contracted services, which is the green one. So we do have to pay a little bit more for kids going to the Learning Academy. That's why we try to do it sometimes. If we ever had any occupational physical therapy. So there's some things that eventually we can maybe absorb and not pay those extras, but I think it's a good deal now. So we'll do that next board. If we're going to do. So that's the ESD doc.
All right, thank you. Go on, maintenance report, Drew.
I don't have much transportation. Maintenance wise, today we have someone heard the water leak out front, right next to the meter. It's busting. We had a couple of heaters that were acting up today. A new wash machine was installed today. So hopefully we'll be able to put it through one more run tomorrow morning. The water is back onto the building. We had to shut water off to the building from noon on today. Sounds like Craig said it's back on at 4:30 today. I was texting him. And then reached out to the guy in Elgin for windows. And we talked a little bit before the last board meeting. Randy and I talked about the 5 worst ones. And Randy and I got to talking a week and a half ago and decided to go ahead and split it due to the cost to do all 11. I don't have Jason's with me. Randy, do you have Jason with you? Sorry, today's been kind of a whirlwind. I have, like, reached out to the company in Walla Walla and Walla Walla, Tri-Cities. They don't do Oregon. Reached out to LeGrand Paint and Glass, and I got their bid was $15,065.
That might not be good.
So this was one we got from LeGrand Paint and Glass.
So did Jason even give you a bid?
He did. I had it, and I gave Randy a copy too. I was actually gone most of the day today. My dad was in the hospital, so. So we replaced the window that had gotten busted. It was Trevor's room last year with this style of window. Seems been doing great. And so then we, like I said, Randy and I talked. We done the 5 originally we're going to do. Then Randy like, it's not getting cheaper, so let's go ahead and see what it'll cost to replace all 11 of them because we know they're going to need to be done eventually anyway. So we reached out to Jason, and I can get you guys that. I'll get you guys that sent to. Jason's bid was 11.5, and the Grand Paint Glasses is 15,066. Both windows are a lifetime on parts, stuff like that. Both are going to be the picture window style. That is Ply Gym. Jason's will be Cascade. So.
Jason's includes the labor for the install, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, labor install too.
We've had you put stuff on our rentals and it's been really good.
Okay.
I mean, they're done the next day.
I know, like you talked before, and the windows we have now probably weren't installed right.
No,
So how do we make sure that that doesn't happen
well,
again?
for one, I need to make sure I'm here and doing it, and watching over it, making sure somebody don't put screws at the bottom of the window seal. Obviously, water's going right down in the wall, and when as they're installed and completed, make sure they should open and close like they're supposed to. So, yeah, I'll definitely make sure watching over that. I don't mind throwing a fit if one's not right. So, that's part of the problem. Some of our windows now is we got screws down in the bottom, so then the window don't shut all the way. I think over time people's hammered on them trying to get them to shut, and the screws sticking out. But some of them, the way the screws are in the side, it's right in the track, and so then they catch on them. So we just need to make sure it installs. Those good. The other problem is these windows that we have right now. Some of them we've actually been able to find serial numbers on, but some of them there's like no identification tags, no data tags, or nothing on them. Like usually on the inside, a couple of them on this side do have tags, so it's like we really don't know where they are, what brand they are, what they are. So this time we are buying a name brand window, Ply Gym. They're around for a long time. Cascade windows, which is that's broken down and stuff. I think it might have a spot in Portland too. But
So say 11,500.
I think that's what I was trying to go through.
Yeah, that's the text I got from you.
Yeah.
They did quote us a little bit higher than that, and then he said I got a better deal on the windows, so 11,500.
Yeah, I was trying to text, and here I found it. So on Friday, January 10th, he texted me back at 11:58 a.m. It says, tell your superintendent 11:05 today. Yeah, 11,500. We got a better deal on the windows due to the sale. So
And this would just come out of our facilities budget.
this would not be the entryway. This would be the Randy Reese's office and then the classrooms. Besides efforts that we've done last year.
And, the grand painting glass is that one.
That one there is the grand paint glass.
I know, the one in Everest room.
Yes, okay.
And so they would be able to match them.
Yes,
Fairly
I asked
close.
him, I took him around and showed it to him and said, can you match this window? And he said, yes, so. That was one big grant I thought would be. Yeah, I know it's on the backside, not everybody sees it, but still, it'd be like, one window would be not good if it was different.
The windows we had have been in there for quite some time or long.
Yeah, sure. Nate thought they were putting it right before him, but.
It's been a while, but
So do we need to make an action item for this?
yeah. that
Okay.
would be-
And you maybe just email out the bid.
Yeah,
So
I
we'll
was
have
trying
that
to learn.
paperwork.
Randy, did I send that to you in email or did I?
I just found your text. And I couldn't find the email.
I know when you showed it to me, it was a hard copy.
Hard copy. I don't have my folder with me, so I will grab that.
Okay,
I have one other question. What's happening with the sign out here? I thought that was going away.
So, yes, B and K was supposed to have hauled that off. And then when they were out here, they didn't look at it and I was gone. When they came back and then he hasn't been back out yet. Actually, bugged Jake a little bit about it this year. He was Christmas party. So we're supposed to be getting back out here.
I think it'd be good if it didn't
Go away.
Yeah.
Just the polls too.
It was very full and I drive by.
every day. Anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Full activities report, Mr. Nellis.
And the end of the first semester was Thursday, January 16th. We had a work day on Friday the 17th. Everything goes okay, and our grades at the latest will go out this Friday. This Friday, we will have the second annual career day here in the high school. Mr. Kent has been working with Janet Kent, POU Early College Initiative Program, organizing this event. There's over 40 speakers presented throughout the day in classrooms. I gave you guys the latest draft of who's going to be here and so forth. We'll also have 19 tables in our gym with organizations presenting information for possible careers and or post-secondary opportunities. And sports games for this week begins on Thursday at Pilot Rock for 4 games starting at 3 o'clock, which is different than our originally scheduled 4 o'clock game. On Friday, we host Nikiawi here starting at 4:30 with boys JV. They do not have a girls JV team. Our wrestlers this weekend is traveling with Joseph to the 1A state tournament in Winston, Oregon at Douglas High School on Saturday. Wednesday, February 5th is the FFA district competition held here in Imbler. Thanks to all the judges beforehand who have volunteered to come in and be part of this event here at the school. And that's all I have.
Superintendent's reports. It's great.
Reflect. So we ended the semester, teacher work day, like Mike said. I know the elementary school is kind of finishing up mid-year testing, so report cards will go out on Monday. Teachers are doing mid-year reflections on their goals, and there's another round of formal evaluation in February. We are required to make available the student health survey for grades 6, 8, and 11. That was a House bill. Make available means they can opt out, the child can opt out, or the parent can opt out. So we sent home notices so parents can look at the survey ahead of time. And a couple of years ago, it was the survey that we talked about. And why are we doing that? Just how close is it? The exact questions are on the website that we will share. The parents can go look at. The parents and students can opt out of the survey if they prefer, just by sending an email to the teacher saying, I don't want to take this for the kid, and say, I don't want to do it, but we've made it available. So I think they're doing it on January 30th. Plan is, and that went home today on Thrill Share, and then we'll get teachers to send it home to inform parents to opt out or not opt out. At the elementary, finished the first semester of our ASB officers. We will be electing new officers for the second semester soon. We do half and half for the year. Senior project advisors met last week. We had a good discussion. Katie was part of that. And at some point, they're going to bring some thoughts and points to share what the senior project actually is, and what going forward, what we need to think about. So, they'll be bringing that to the board just to share that information. The board can make an action item on, and then that is all I have.
Thank you. On that, senior project committee, this one thought is, what about doing like a work session? So, and having, could you have a work session with those advisors, administration, and board? So that we could do more of, I just thought it was pretty valuable to have, and I was the only one there. So I think every one of the, the board members would be able to gain some value by understanding. And I also think the staff would gain some understanding and by, explaining to us what their either difficult things that they deal with or things they feel are important. And I'm not set one way or the other. Maybe we can talk about it later, but just an idea, because I think I learned a lot by and I felt like the staff had impressions that the board needed certain things, which may or may not have ever been discussed. So,
And that was probably a good idea before we make any policy about it. So,
yeah, I think we'd be better informed to be able to
educate.
Maybe we could come up with a date. You guys, talk about that, see if it's something you guys want to get into. Go back and forth and see if we can come up with a couple hours. Thank you.
When parents should be involved in that discussion.
Well, a work session, so I think anybody could really come to the work session.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good question. And I guess that's the reason to do it under a work session.
I will say, work sessions typically don't take public input and there's no action to be made. So, parents can be there, but it's usually just a meeting of the committee. So
I think it would be a good time to maybe,
doesn't
in
mean
advance of that work session, to send maybe an email out, let people know if they have any comments or things. Maybe we could, send a written comment in about things that, so maybe they could be discussed in that, that setting. Or, if you have one or two parents, I don't see a problem with having some discussion about it. I think. Just kind of. Right. New business February meeting date change.
Teresa goes on vacation every year, so we always have to move it. We proposed that we move, it was February. Move it up 1 week, basically. So it's scheduled for the 18th, which is right after President's Day. We'd like to move it to the 11th. If that works. That's at least one day proposed.
I'm good then.
Got it.
Best program SRO discussion.
Andrew Bingman approached me about trying to bring back the DARE program. Board, basically saying that the DARE program kind of went away with COVID things. She thought it was a very valuable program. Union County Sheriff does not do the DARE program anymore. They do what's called BEST. Be aware of the situation, evaluate your options, stand up and speak to yourself and others, and talk to your team. The only caveat between them letting us have the BEST program is that you have to have a school resource officer, and if you don't, they won't do it. So at this point, we can't do it because we don't have a school resource officer. So there's a couple options. We talked to, we talked a little bit about it. So to actually get into a school resource officer that's going to be actually here in the States, it's about $30,000 if all the other districts do it also. $30,657.40.
That's what we shared with.
That's if we shared with LeGrand Middle School, who wants it from 10 to 2 every day, and Cove.
10 to 2 is like.
Yeah. It's drive time.
That was kind of the, Elgin was supposed to be in that, but then I think, they hired a school safety officer. Something to that effect. Not really an officer, but
How much,
school safety person, they didn't want in the SRO, but
how much was that, Randy, again?
$30,657.40. Cove has to pay a little bit more because they're not a district. Right now, North Powder, Union, and Cove share officer hunters. And then, the Grand has one. The other option is, I talked to Mark Mulvihill, I go, what if we don't need somebody here all the time? Because in my opinion, the SRO needs to be here connecting with our kids if we really want effective SRO. But we do want the best program. Is there a way we can buy in some amount of monetary help with the other Cove, North Powder, and Union, and just have them on call if we ever need them? Since I've been here, but then they can come and do our best program for us. And so he said, Mark Mulvihill said, we'll have that discussion with the board. Is there a certain amount of money that you guys would say, yeah, maybe 10 to 15,000, we would be willing to do something like that?
The way I understood the best program was what, 7 weeks long,
Yeah.
for like a 5th grade class.
5th grade class, yeah.
And it's a 7-week, 1 hour a week program, right?
So I said, in my thought, I wouldn't be opposed to spending some money for them to come in and do the best program. If we have to be in the SRO program, can we buy in not at the same rate as North Powder, Cove, Union, where he's actually there physically, but on call if we ever need them? And Mark said, I think we could probably work something out, but board's feeling about that. If it's something you want me to pursue, then I'll pursue that avenue. If you want to try to, we probably need to out at this point. If you want to try to do a full blown SRO that's going to be here a couple hours a week, then we can do that. About 30,000, 31,000.
For the record, I did have another parent ask me, I think it was last week about it as well. So,
I think the best program would be very beneficial for our graders. Don't know if we need a full blown SRO. You know, 2 hours. Come run our best program, and if we need you, we'll call you. Help us out. Probably not gonna call her. That's kind of my thoughts. That's what I kind of told Mark. The $10,000-15,000, that's the range we're looking at. That's kind of what I had.
I don't know if 10 hours a week gives us much.
I don't think it's just what we for 30,000. For 10,000, we get the best program and we get somebody on call. I'm thinking that's probably money well spent.
So what other options besides the best program? I mean, if you say, you know, is there a program out there that somebody could be trained to do something similar that, you know, doesn't require you to spend about.
Yeah, I don't know that answer. Or whether it's worth it.
Well, deer and stuff came along after I was in school, so I mean, I've always assumed it was like a drug and alcohol, like good life decision making class.
And that's what the best program. Just
And I still became a student, like, so I don't know, I made all the best life decisions.
But I can look into that too, and we can come back and then we'll take an action item, kind of just a informal, go kind of see what it's gonna cost us, so we can make a better decision.
I feel positive law enforcement interactions with our kids good. Any way we can get it, I think that'd be good, but it does seem like an SRO, you know, I think where they're really effective is when they really get into a school and they really start to, you know, get a connection with the kids, and, you know, they can see if the kid's having a bad day or something like that. So it is tough when, too bad they couldn't like teach PE class and at a hybrid thing, you know, where it makes it more affordable.
Well, I did see that over Umatilla or Boardman, but their SRO is also like a private teacher and a bunch of other, they did have like other students, and he was embedded with the kids.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool, so.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing the sheriff's office wouldn't probably, but what about like an off-duty, you know, sheriff's officer that can teach the best class, you know, if they don't work on Thursdays or something like that, you know, if they come in and, you know, pick them to just teach the class. And I guess the hook is they want.
Politics is they want to help with the SRO, yes, or another SRO. The reality
Hernandez
is,
and Humphreys are the ones that teach the class.
Say that again.
Hernandez and Humphreys are the ones that teach the class. Hernandez works for LeGrand. And I think they're the ones qualified for training. Yeah, my brother's married Humphreys' daughter, so that's all. Humphreys, yeah, he's talked about it being before and stuff. He's had some parents reach out to him from the Imbler. So we talked about it before.
He's the Grand Police Department.
He's the sheriff's officer.
Sheriff.
No, one's the Grand, the other one's sheriff.
Hernandez will sheriff's department, he's just the full time for LeGrand School District.
so I hear that, yes, I can at least talk about them, and get really good pursue that program.
Policies presented for the first reading, like we've got.
So we had a bunch of them, but we can only do one.
Oh, well.
You remember the Supreme Court upheld civil rights challenges of the civil rights laws, and these were all written before that verdict came down, except for the first one. So the DC is the only one, and basically that just adds civil rights. And talks about the civil rights coordinator, which is required by law, and me, training in Salem. It's nothing too extraordinary. The other ones, I don't mind all those kind of things. We'll wait and see. So, see what's going to happen. We decided that instead of inserting my name into this board policy, if there's a reason why I may leave, then we have to redo a board policy because we have new superintendent. So we was superintendent. So that's really, there's nothing too drastic. That's the only one that can do.
All right, old business track project update.
Within 4 day week.
Oh, 40 week, yeah, sorry, jumped over yet.
So, Pam talked to me this week, last week, I guess, it's Tuesday now. So last week, we when we approved the 4-day week, said we were on a two-year trial, and then we'd have to make another action and continue with the 4-day week. We'll have to again. And so when Pam and I talked, we're kind of having a discussion. If there's things that you want me to bring before you make a decision, then I can have time to put out another community survey on what they think about the 4-day week. Want as much testing data that we can get, have attendance data. What would, I don't know if I'm speaking correctly, what would you want me to bring to you before you can make that decision? Or have you all decided already and then make a decision next month when we die? So we wanted to do it before we end up getting the calendar going out. So
Well, kind of with the, I mean, we did say it was gonna be 2 years, and, you know, one of the conversations was it was supposed to reduce, midweek games, you know, and keep kids at school more, so I guess it'd be interesting to see what attendance is like, and to reduce, you know, loss of, you know, contact time, you know, for that. And the other one was, there was really no study that said it was good for academic performance, but just try to make sure you minimize, you know, the academic performance. So I'd like to just see where our test scores have gone, you know, in that period of time. So
I think it would be way more than fair to send out a survey and let everybody know that 2 years is here and that, you know.
parents,
Yeah.
staff, everybody.
Yeah. 100%.
And basically,
Yeah, how do you think it's going? Continue this way? Yeah. Yep.
Maybe just let them know that the board is, you know, reviewing the policy or the 4-day school week and the 2 years still. Any written comments or, you know, or be encouraged and appreciated.
Do you think we're talking March or we make that decision? No, we should all the way back to April. We don't have to negotiate this year, but we do have the calendar now.
I would try to encourage comment to come in so that they can be discussed in February board
We
meeting.
want that.
So we can make.
March just got the time for a decision.
I really would like to have written or comments.
Do you want it to send them out to them to identify themselves as our staff, parent, or community members? Have that data, or are they just gonna go
I think it'd be helpful, just to, not give their name, but just kind of which
some are staff and parents?
group they represent.
Staff, parents, you want students. But, some might not. If they identify themselves as students, I guess. Staff, parents, students.
Okay.
It's when they check student and parent, they're like, okay, I think this is a suspect result.
And we'll try to get that stuff for February meeting. March, we can make a decision. The other, I think, before we go on, because Pam and I talked about, this was the enrichment days. And there's a feeling out there, that they didn't accomplish what we wanted them to accomplish. Some have suggested that we'd rather just be in school on those days. Or not have half days on Fridays and full days. So I'm just kind of, as we're having this discussion, what's your thoughts on? Right now, we have 3 enrichment days. We have 4 half days that are the rollovers when we're in this Friday. President's Day, Veterans Day, and Labor Day. So the other option I talked to Pam is just not having half days. We always go 4 full days a week. And that in lieu of taking out those 3 enrichment days, which are half days. It's 12 more instructional hours. The enrichment days don't count as instructional hours. They're not required. So that's just kind of a feel before we.
I always felt like if you're taking Monday, you're using day. It doesn't, not certainly
does not balance out.
Right, so I really think that you're gonna, you know, fill a day with it. You're having buses, you're gonna have, you're gonna do all those other things.
We don't have, buses, we're not, we don't even know if they eat lunch on the after.
Well,
We
and
wouldn't know if
most,
it's
yeah, and
bad.
most of those kids are eating lunch around 11, and that goes on in.
And then I told him, we talked about it, that on Fridays, you know, we used to do half days on Fridays because of sports, but now they have sports Monday through Friday, so what difference does it make? You're gonna lose the same amount of kids, so you might as well go all day on that Friday.
So we gotta add that to them.
So another thought is if, would that give more hours, because I know, Pam, I heard last year, at the calendar time, there was talk of, you know, could we start later, we can't go further to the stock show, but then it seems like we always start later or start early in the year in August, sometime. So is it possible that it do some all-day Fridays and give them instructional hours to take for not starting school as early? I don't know if that would do anything
So
there
like
or
we've
not.
always talked, we are well over the hours. We could take a week off and start a week later and still be under the required hours, but we have a discussion that we like, but we're well over the brand, well over some other districts. One option I think, talk to Pam about, maybe we can go one day less and go Tuesday through Friday that first week instead of Monday to Thursday. I think it's one more day. But it's also, this is the only year, next year it won't happen that way because June 1st is Tuesday or something. So then it'll be June 7th or 6th before the stock show.
Pushes that back.
So that pushes everything back a week. So then we won't start till the last week of August. So, I mean, it's just, it was weird these couple years of calendars where the June 1st was a Sunday and for a month later, whatever. So otherwise, we're good. As far as it will be in the next couple of years, a week later in the summer. But that's,
I'm
so
not the only one.
we can get through one more year or whatever it is. We should be okay now.
So like this, is this this day here, is this an enrichment day or is this a scheduled day?
That's a scheduled day.
Okay. I would continue to try to, even if they're less, use some of those enrichment days, because I think, I can't remember. Might have been, we talked about speeches, doing some more speech work. But we also talked about, oh, I know what it was. It was the seniors, those comments that they made, and presenting those and how important that is to, you know, the younger and, you know, hearing it from their peers as opposed to their instructors. And I thought that, you know, those enrichment days would be a good opportunity to maybe have older kids and younger kids. You know, that's the thing I thought about when you had outdoor school and you had the, at the time, I think it was the sophomore class and fourth grade class or eighth and fourth.
And third.
You know, I thought that was I thought the culture was very good in that because you saw eighth graders doing funny things at outdoor class or having a good time or, you know, getting outside the box. So then when you're a third grader, it makes you think like maybe it's okay to participate and do those kind of things. And so, you know, I think that not doing that kind of stuff anymore, maybe those enrichment days we can think about how to make that exchange still happen. Even if there's less, I think it's still enrichment.
I'd be interested to see what the teachers think in this. Because I've heard some comments where some teachers do a lot for some enrichment days, some teachers don't do anything for enrichment days. And then some teachers have said that they get more out of a half-day school than they do on enrichment day.
I'm sure.
So I'm just curious what they think of the enrichment days as far as
Value.
value.
And it may be different from grade school to high school.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's ways we can increase the value. Maybe there's not so many of them.
The hardest kids to step up in Richmond days are K1. If we had Richmond days for grade 3 and above, we would probably have some pretty good and enriching enrichment days. The problem is if you ask GoSTEM to come, yeah, we'll do a kindergarten session for 30 minutes. We still have 3.5 hours left to fill. What are we gonna do for another 3.5 hours with this kindergarten kid? Whereas they'll take a 5th and 6th grade for an hour. Maybe do 2 with them at a chance. Do them at 1 because just attention. It's just those K1 and 2 kids that they're very tough. As the guy that's scheduled down there. Harder and harder, especially in the winter time. The winter time is, you can't go outside. You don't know if you can go outside. Be creative, but also make it somewhat meaningful. This February when we have Ghost Gun coming, but that's half an hour, an hour. So, other activities that they may not be exposed to, but it's just hard to help exposed.
What do you think the participation level is?
We have basically between our lowest one last year is about 85 and our highest one is about 110. So we have 150 kids, so 75%, close to anyway, at the elementary school. Yes, the high school. I think when you're talking about a senior project, kind of put you need to do something during an elementary day, go to college or something like that was part of the senior project. But it's not required. It's tougher to get high school and junior high kids. You know, they don't have to. So
Maybe have just as much kids coming in just to visit with their teachers and
yeah,
get some further understanding.
and they can come and go for an hour. Whereas elementary kids, we've got them for 4 hours, and so that puts a lot of strain on, especially the K1, 2 elementary teachers that spend a lot of time. It's just a discussion we'll have when we start. We'll decide, let's decide 4-day week or not first, and then we can go to the next step, which is the calendar, some options. So.
Okay, thank you. Old business project update.
Well, track's all paid for and the equipment, it'll all be paid for. We've got, another big grant coming in, a couple other pledges coming in. So when all that's said and done, we'll have track, all the equipment, and about $325,000. With that money, we'll want to put in paved walkway out to where the bleachers are. We'll want to put bleachers in there, crow's nest. We need a storage building, and I think Kater might have something to say about that, and a small memorial for the donors. I think we've got enough money to get those things done. Right now, I've been working on getting, it's amazing how difficult it can be, especially over the holidays. But if I can show you a picture just real quick, maybe Tim, you can just pass that around real quick. That's a little smaller actually than what I've been looking at, but we should be able to get something like that, a little bit bigger than that.
Bleachers and crow's nests.
Yeah, and you'll be able to walk up the stairs, bleachers, and the crow's nest would actually be half again that size, and the bleachers a little bit wider than that. So there'll be 2 aisles with you know, handlebars. You can walk up. It'll seat around 200 people, and then you'll have a crow's nest. And we have, and we'll still be able to get bleachers, small step with where they do the jumping events. And then some bleachers that we could put would be the, you know, what I just showed you. It has a ramp on one side, steps on the other. It's got 5 disability spots on it. So that would be, you know, where we could replace what we have in football now. And then you can still get a set of bleachers down at the finish line that would not be elevated. You just set it on gravel, and there's quite a slope there, so you know, we might have to build just a little bit of retaining wall to set it on, but with that slope, you can't really practice football with that slope up to the track anyway. So we could put a set of bleachers in there, modest, and you know, we should have one for all like. But I'm still working the quotes, and the committee still has to talk on that. And if we want to get a set of bleachers for the visitor side that might hold 100 people, if you didn't get elevated, set a plain bleacher set for about $13,000, we could fit 100 people over there on 5 rows, which would be about, you know, about 10 foot wide. So I think we could do that. So when we get it all said and done, it might, maybe we want to spend a little bit more than that, in which case we might want to come back and ask. We haven't spent really any of that 150,000 we said it's a contingency fund. Might we want to come back and ask for 20 or 30 of that? At this point, I'd say maybe. So that's kind of where we are as far as the committee hasn't met this month, so last time we met was early December. We'll be meeting in a couple of weeks and work through them. And the other thing we've done, of course, we've been going back to donors and giving them a report on what we've done and what we've done with them.
I have one question. And this is an afterthought now. Those trees along the fence out there, their roots are not gonna go underneath that track and cause a problem down the road, are they?
No, I talked to Randy about that. You're talking about along where we gravelled on the west side there. So they're not close enough to, and that's another reason we moved that track. You know, we pulled it over a little bit. And so they're not close enough to kind of give us any problems.
Yeah.
Talking to Randy.
I've had trees underneath dick. Because we've got these rentals and in these sewer systems, and I'm just like going, oh my gosh, these rents go everywhere. What's gonna happen with that track? So,
Yeah, otherwise we'd have cut them all out.
yeah.
I guess one thing that's probably good to do sooner rather than later is, I don't know if you need any assistance with this or not, decide exactly if we take the crow's nest off, which I think we can afford to do, because we'll have a replacement. You know, what do we have to do to fix the end of that building?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was Kager and I talked about that and Randy some. I mean, it's gonna be something when we do get it off. I mean, see if we're gonna probably do a little bit of framing, and then we're gonna have to, sheet it, put metal back on for sure. So
Yeah, I can't imagine it costing a lot of money if we can do it when we can help you. So volunteers.
Did you get any bison on the fence? Was that there?
One of them, I turned it into Kager, and then, the other guy, I had heard from him. I tried to reach out to him once today and I didn't hear from him, but the other guy didn't say everything. Yeah, Kager shot the numbers.
So he's actually reworking it because I got 2 different quotes on fence. So are you done? Sorry, I'm kind of.
Unless there are other questions.
Sorry, I kind of jumped ahead. So it's kind of the same track project, but so you're gonna come back with try to figure out what the price is on the crow's nest and
Well,
that
yeah, we
bleacher
just
setup.
look at what we really want to recommend. And so, I'm trying to get another crow's nest price.
So
And take the crook.
if the crow's nest and we're doing the bleachers, and are we trying to get those in before the May 1st track meet?
So,
My opinion is to
yeah.
tear down the crow's nest and we
Right.
can have a crow's nest.
we'll probably like, my guess is what we'd probably like to do is tear down the crow's nest, and we have until football season to replace it.
Well, in theory.
Yeah.
But I've also, I don't know construction costs, and so I can't get there until.
Now, the prices
October.
I'm looking at include the construction. So, when I got a quote today, for all those bleachers, all it shipped, they come, they construct it, they assemble it, they have everything, all the installation done. There's a bond on it, the whole thing for $267,000. So they would come and we would say, you need to get it done this time. I would guess we can have it done in the spring sometime. But for the track meet, I think if we get a set of modest bleachers down there at the finish line, we can set that up right away. We just have to tear the crow's nest down, put that up. As far as the other bleacher set, new crow's nest and all, if it's delayed or not completed.
But you're gonna probably need a crow's nest to run the track meet.
And film, which is up.
Yeah,
So-
well, yeah. Well, let's hope
It's
we
tough to
can.
run
If
a
we- Yeah, well,
We tried that little speaker, remember that when we did that, nobody could hear us?
Yeah, well, and if we can't, we're still, we can still hold the meet, and maybe we just have to, for 1 year, survive without it. It's just a level 5 team meet, what Tiny's got planned, right? It's just a test drive. So I'm not,
gonna be a junior high one week after, but.
I mean, we can get someone with tall forks to lift me up there, and I can control it from a forklift.
There's other issues, I think, that you're not considering, like computer. We're doing an automatic timing, where's that gonna go? If the crow's nest not there.
It is an integral part of it.
They're gonna sit down there on a table somewhere, and then if it rains, we're gonna have to worry about that, or you have to try to get Wi-Fi out there, or we get Wi-Fi in the crow's nest that already has internet hookup, a sound system. That's my fear, is we don't go crazy
Yeah,
about
tear-
tearing it
I
down
wouldn't tear
before
it
we have
down.
a plan for,
I wouldn't tear it down until you knew it sit there. Yeah.
for any electric or everything.
You could tear that sucker off there in a day.
Yeah.
So,
But there's just a lot of stuff in there that I think you need for a track meet. Not that it's not a good idea, just need that for a track meet, I think, so. That's my thought.
if you're tearing the crow's nest down, are you still looking at doing storage on the side? To replace the storage of the crow's nest?
Well, I guess that's cool. We can, that's a possibility. Just put a lean-to on the side and just take that roof line out another 8 foot. Yeah, building that'd be easy.
Or what's under the
But-
crow's nest?
Yeah, I was
Is
wondering
there
too.
stairs under the crow's nest?
If there's
I don't know
any-
what's under the crow's nest.
No,
Storage
no, the
under.
new one.
Oh, the new one. No,
Yeah.
it's no, you can't store anything in there. It's metal works.
But could build a storage underneath the crow's nest?
No,
Goes off the
no,
back.
it's all kind of stuff or something. It's a metal.
That's good.
Yeah, you could probably behind that, you could pour another pad, make a little storage area.
Yeah, or add on to the front of
Build a
storage
storage.
building that we
On
create.
options.
It comes down to dollars, and what that's gonna take, and what's left in the track fund, and how we want to utilize that. But I think we've all kind of agreed that we were gonna spend that $150,000 somewhere along the line for the track project, which is a pretty small percentage of the overall project. Which kind of gets into like the fence. That back fence, the rotor ties are falling down, and so only a matter of time, and something's got to be done with it. And it won't be very long, and the neighbor's horses will be on track because that fence is in very bad shape. And so I got 2 prices, and one of them is still kind of in the works, because the best thing for us to do is to buy the materials ourselves and have to herd it, and that's where he was going to buy his materials anyway. They were just, the stuff he quoted was a lot lighter duty. And so one quote was 40,000 to do basically 1,080 linear feet. So it'd be the whole west and the whole north side to match up with the existing chain link fence. Matt's, who lives in Somerville, his was 30,000 with materials. The materials would cost us about $10,800. And so he was gonna work up a new bid for just the installation. So I think when it comes down to it, it's gonna be less. His overall, so my guess is we're gonna be in the 25,000 range, and then you got one more guy looking at it. And so, I think we're gonna be somewhere around the 25,000 to put that fence in with 2 gates. And it's 11 gauge mesh chain link, which 9 would be sufficient, but to do a very good fence. And 4-inch gate posts, 2 7/8 fill, all Schedule 40. Line posts are like 2 and 3 gates. And so I think we should get all those bids in, but I'm in favor of go ahead and spend it. Let's say it's 25,000 out of that 150,000 the schools got budgeted there. I'd like to see what you guys think as far as go ahead and get that fence repaired.
What side of it's the west side bigger?
The west side, 660 feet. Approximately, these are close. And I think it was 4
Of the north side.
4. Yeah, basically 410 on the north side.
Did you consider electric fence?
Well, there's already deer crap on the track, so I'm trying to keep the deer out.
Gate.
2 gates, yeah, so we put a gate kind of down where the storage building is potentially gonna go, and a gate where the existing gate is. Those would both be 12-foot gates, which I think is big enough for equipment that you can get in and out of there when it's through.
They're gonna walk through again.
There'll be a walkthrough where the walkthrough is now.
Yeah.
Like how tall is it?
The 6-foot, so it would match up with the chain link fence that we already have.
On that practice field? or-
Exactly, definitely the soccer field area.
I think we've run the life out of the existing fences.
Yeah,
And it would look nice to have it all secured up.
I think it's the same.
yeah. And that's one thing I talked about it with our insurance agent on the track, and it's covered for vandalism. But I think you would want, having a good fence there. Really, that's where your vandalism come from, is something to get a great idea to drag out there. So I have actually. Right now, it would not take much to get that.
We don't have gates on the bus barn, so you, so like, right, I talked about before, they put gates back there, or these just I-beam style or something in the vehicle.
Right. So I guess how big of a item do we have to do an action item?
So if we've already approved 152 the track committee, is it board action item or track committee spending?
Well, could
150 that we already made? the
we
action
do an
on?
action item and approve up to 30,000 for that fence, today? And then.
Of that 150.
Of that 150.
Of that
So
150.
if everybody's
But I think
okay with it.
if we're doing the contracting, we'll probably need to make a motion to approve it.
Okay. So we need to have all those there to do that. Okay. We'll try to get that. We'll have all that ready for the February meeting and have that ready to go. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, is the fence. So we'll work on that. The other thing is I got a bid for not removal, but there's the willow tree that's out there where that storage building could go. That's hanging over the sun. Got a lot of dead in it. So I got a bid to cut that back and then raise the canopy on the fir trees that are over there by and it came in at less than $2,000, which I thought was very good. And I know Drew's talked about wanting to get those trees kind of cleaned up over there. So I don't think we're gonna get it done any cheaper, so I'd like to go ahead and move forward with that.
Who was that bid from?
Parker's Tree Service. So we can work on that. And then I'm getting some bids to put in the shot put to fix like the entryway from the west side where you have the sidewalk. Kate Bowles had, he kind of did a walkway there. And then there'd be a 4-foot sidewalk that would go to the south that would meet up where the bleachers, the existing side bleachers would be. And then also to pour a pad for the storage building. And I've only got one of those bids right now, but kind of like to see what you guys think. I've got a 25 by 25 foot building on my place that I've moved once before. And I would donate that to the school. It's in good shape. It's got hardy plank siding, steel roof, and I can move it and we could set it on there. It would take up, so when we store things like the mats for the pole vault and the mats for the high jump would take up 1/3 of it. So there'd be 2/3 of it in cubic feet that would still be available for storing all the other things.
Like hurdles in the winter time.
Yeah, most of the hurdles are gonna be in there all year long,
Yeah.
except for,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, there's 100 hurdles and they probably are gonna use 20 of them a year until you have a track meet.
Right.
So a lot of that stuff is just gonna stay there. So I would donate the building and move it if the school paid for the concrete pad. And I think it would be large enough. And I talked to Barry about the size of it. He seemed to think it would probably, the paint on it's really good, but you probably want to repaint it to match the rest of the building in the school.
What's the bid? Did you-
So the bid for the concrete, which I think is really high, but the concrete to do the pad is 19,600.
How many yards?
That is, yeah,
Is that just the pad or is
that's
that?
the pad and a 40-foot, 6-foot wide walkway that gets you to the track.
So it'd be both
Yeah.
of them.
So there'd be 12 yards for the pad and 3 yards for the sidewalk. And he's bidding that. And I've asked for 3 different bids and I've only got one back. So this one's from John. And so he's bidding this at $20 a yard. Yeah, or $20 a square foot to do the concrete, the excavation, and the base rock. And that's a 5-inch thick concrete pad. And a 4-foot thick, 4-inch thick, 6-foot wide, 40-foot long. So we could get some more bids for that and then come back. His bid for the shot put discus is $5,900. And his bid for the sidewalk where the bleachers would set and to fix that handrail and everything is $5,400. So basically 30,000 too.
But you're getting more bids from them.
So, you know, the shop is obviously going to be done. Or they can practice on what they have now, but okay, we've got some time. Anybody have any, I mean, the building, they have problems with that size of building, doing that? 25 by 25.
I think the most one, well, couple of things. One, if it is big enough, I would just have to see what the supplies and stuff. But like Drew has brought up, losing that crow's nest. I don't think you really want to store. The way I understood it, Drew, you don't want to store like the football stuff that's in there right now out that far.
After last talking, so we talked about that, I talked with Dustin and he prefer.
So it would just be track stuff, I think. Yeah.
And it's got a 16-foot wide roller
could be added on, correct?
Oh, you could,
And
yeah.
then maybe we set it in a manner in which it's not, where it could be added on, like maybe offset the fence, not where all that.
Then what about, and I would look at those bleachers that we have now. So if you could take two sections off those bleachers and the back rail is got bolts that basically puts the back rail for the safety fence in the back on there. So if you took, one section of that off of there, two seats, it basically matches up exactly the way it is now, and that would fit in there without having to buy another set of bleachers. So,
Those three sides.
yeah. Do you think that, safety wise, would that meet what they need to do?
I reached out to Northwest Bleachers, who's doing our inspection in 2 months. Trying to get some information from them. I have not heard back from them. I was asking her how we could do it and it still passes the inspection for base. So, anyways, I kind of brought up, is there a way we can shorten that, 1 to 2 seats so we can fit within, we and Brandy now out there measured that fence. And so she's supposed to be talking with her tech. It comes out and does our inspection, repairs on our bleachers. But I have not heard back from them. I actually sent them an email last week. I haven't.
Okay. That would save another dog that should be used for someplace. Okay, so we'll get some more bids on that.
So you guys aren't thinking about adding on to the building that's already there when you take the crow's nest out that direction, are you?
If we did add on to it, you'd add on to it to the east.
Towards
Okay.
Leland's.
Okay, because I was gonna say with those bleachers there and taking that crow's nest out, maybe you could see the scoreboard
You could.
sign, and I don't want you to cover that. Cover that up.
Like to the east, or would it might be actually easier to just extend the roof line out to the south, because it's still pretty high. And you could, we looked at that, you could come out 8 feet, you'd still have 8-foot ceiling inside there. So you could put
grass.
you get a whole, well, it's all gravel on that side of the building, right? So you could go down the whole side of that building with an 8-foot extension. And you could put more of the.
On the north side or south side?
South side.
Oh.
Where the stairs are.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have vast amount of storage space there.
That's gravel.
We got big, we got
Important. But you wouldn't be losing grass. That's. Okay, Randy and I talked before, we put storage on the practice football field side where all the ag tables are and stuff. We just frame that wall in, put double doors there. That section behind the concession that right now is used for all the ag tables, all stuff down there. Just close that in and then make that section double doors right on off the practice field for dusting stuff for football. Then we talked about adding on to the front, which we already have done once before, extending it out even more. Make up for, that storage that we lost, so then we still be able to put.
You can have our contractor look at it and see which way would be the least expensive direction to go and look onto and go with it. So we'll come back with some fence bids and update the bids for those 3 little projects, and maybe I'll vote on this. And so basically it would be 60,000 out of that. We're talking about maybe doing the paving. And I think that's to work and pay. Okay, anything else? Music room project update.
It's gonna be a lot quicker than track. We just finally got the building permits for, and the bar should have picked them up, and we're waiting for a pretty good. So. We should have more information by the February.
Are we kind of on schedule still?
Well, yeah, I mean, we just said break ground, when we can break ground based on weather. Which,
But actually pretty good.
yeah, so we probably could have. So I think we're okay. I should have more information.
And you guys discussed, I mean, is there any merit in looking into that second part of the project?
Yeah, I think at the pre-construction meeting, we can have that conversation. We're in the same class without compromising the building. See if there's something we can do there. It's on the agenda for the pre-construction. That's where we're at.
Okay. Action items, installation. Okay. Anybody interested in making a motion to use, what's the name of the company?
The one,
AC.
Jason.
15,000.
No, there's.
Well, that's five. Yeah, it's,
Yeah,
it's
I
right
think-
glass shop.
He's the one that used to work for Ford Place.
Won't make the motion. Except the bid can start a glass shop. For 11.6 for the window replacement project.
Jason Lovell.
Oh,
Been moved and seconded to approve Jason Lovell, with Eastern Green Glass Shop to do a window installation in high school. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Anything else?
question about, back to the SRO officer, that's some, okay. So some of the, just crunching the numbers real quick. So the first thing, Randy, you were saying it was like $30,605 if you want to have share them with the Grand Middle School. That was Grand Middle School at certain hours and stuff, but then we were looking at 10 to 15,000 possibly. We may be comfortable with that to pay for just the best program. I would almost just throw out there as well. I mean, I know that like those officers are like around 120,000 a year. I think the sheriff's department budgets for them, so you're looking at $24,000 one day per week. So, I mean, for me personally, I think that the thing, and listening to some other parents, I don't think we need one full time, obviously. But if we could get one for I guess what I'm saying is if we're going to pay $10,000 to $15,000 for one day for 1 hour a week for 7-week program, that seems pretty expensive. Could we do something? Maybe we can negotiate something to look at maybe 1/2 a day per week or 1 day per week or something. And then, with that, you then get the best program. So then we'd be looking at paying 24,000 or 15 to 24,000, and we have then we'd have our own resource officer for part time or something. But if a Grand Middle School is looking for something to kind of partner up with somebody, I think there would be some negotiation room there. But
So here's what it was. So 23-24, the cost of the SRO program was $90,169.
and that was a
Shared.
That was a shared or full
That
time.
was a share between Co, LeGrand, Mother Hatter, and you. Co paying $22,500, LeGrand paying $16,900, North Carolina paying $16,900, Union paying $16,900, and the ESD paying $16,900. If we did 24-25, which what they wanted to do was to add one, because they don't have personnel to service any more schools, then it would be a Cove would pay 30,000, Elgin would pay 25,500, we would pay 25,500, and pay 25,500, North Dakota would pay 25,500. Union would pay 25,500, and the ESD would pay 25,500. So Union had to agree to basically pay another $9,000 for the same service they're getting now, just to help us. North Powder had to pay another $9,000 just to help us. Underhand had to pay another $9,000 just to help us out to add a resource officer, which is now $183,944 because they say they don't have enough personnel to add us from Belgium to their resource officer program.
So that's for a 30K or
And
30,000.
so
Yeah.
that is adding another entire person and taking Elgin out of it because they said no. And then I just said that'd be 30,000. So again, that would be Union agreeing to pay another 14,000 for no service. With Powder another 14,000 just to help us.
So I don't run a sports book, but I'm guessing the odds are pretty low that they're going to agree to do that.
I think the other districts would have paid the 25,000.
Okay,
Just because that's kind of the ESD we had.
Okay.
Yeah, we know it's gonna cost a little more. We want to help the districts in the ESD. North Powder does not have them come up there. They're on call.
It's
They
not
still
all.
pay the exact same thing as Union. These stays at Union, Cove basically. So Cove wants them this day, these 2 days, and Union wants them these 2 days, and North Powder just on call, paying the same amount. So
So
that's where the 10,000, and I just threw out 10,000, I was talking more.
More bad.
We're just saying, hey, we need you on call, we need you to come run that service for us. But we are in the SRO program, we would have an SRO, it just wouldn't be here
Okay.
connecting with our kids. But right now, what they're saying is if we did have an incident where we had a kid that brought a gun to school or something, we can't call the SRO and the sheriff's office will get here when they get here.
Right.
So, but if we have an SRO, they get here because we're in the SRO.
So we could have them on call.
So it'd be on
it's
call.
probably the same thing we run into, like when I have a law enforcement issue on a medical call, you're like, I need you now, and they're like, they're in North Powder.
Yeah, we can't get that right
Yeah,
now.
I'll just kill some time.
But if we're on the SRO program, at least you can come, let's say we
Yeah.
have somebody that's running drugs into the school or something, we need school resource officer. Do the law part of it, then we can call them and they would get here. Whereas now it'd be, sorry, no one's available. Good luck.
But when we have had instances past, they fairly quickly respond. In the best interest.
I think the politics
It's
is not
definitely in the best
responding.
interest, but it is
Within the county,
politics.
it's probably
In
bad.
my opinion.
Right.
It's kind of like
And they've also got kids in this.
we're paying for what they should be doing anyway if we have an incident where we.
What are you going to?
Yeah, so it's like, and the whole conversation started because they had this summer. And there was no resource officer. The one they had, or not resource officer, just patrol officers, the one that had an Elgin was gone to a conference or something, and they couldn't get there in time. The new superintendent was not there.
And at least it was nothing, it was nothing anyway.
Right, it was nothing, but that's what started the whole conversation. So I agree with you, and it's a lot of money, and
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it's
Yeah.
not gonna go over 10,000.
well, perfect world, yeah, if we could get one for half a day a week would be really ideal. But yeah, it's not there.
So but I can have that conversation, so.
Well,
I'll have all those things.
Well, I certainly don't think it hurts, you know, for, the sheriff's department to know that we're interested, you know, and because things do change, and, you know, Elton could come and say, hey, you know, we're looking for hours. Wanting to split something up for other programs that come up for grants, that come up as well, so.
Does Elton do anything now?
Yeah, they hired a safety officer, schools. So he's not armed, he kind of just, he gets scared or makes things for kids, he handles any punishment for kids, instead of like Mike handling or something, he handles it now. Projects going on with like contractors and stuff, he makes sure OSHA, any OSHA standards, again, you know, OSHA have problems, contractor stuff, don't have trouble with OSHA, so he makes sure anybody on grounds is doing all that kind of stuff. Carrie's talking about it one day with us, so kind of safety officer, but then they added some more stuff to do to make it.
You can't put any legal orders in it. So for,
Right. So. He does trainings, you know, staff, kids, stuff like that. I think carries on, so it sounds like they're sending them in to get some more certifications, to do some stuff. So.
Something fitting.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah. But like you said, Ken, there's a lot of weak stuff that, like, to talk with Terry, get these, you know, these there. You know, go here and get these certification, or go here and get that, you know. Right.
yeah.
I'll see if I can have some more.
And just before we adjourn, I've got one thing, and I have no opinion on this at all. I was just asked by two different parents to bring it up, and I just said I'd throw it out there. There's been some pretty disgruntled feelings, I guess, way to say that, about the, well, Darcy Sweet's coaching. No opinion, just some people or parents are kind of wondering if they should be writing a letter or something, petition. They just asked me to bring it up in the meeting, and I said, I will do only that, because I don't, you know.
Really, this is personnel, so we can't talk about it, and
Right, and I
Yeah.
just,
yeah.
that's why I said, I'll just throw it out there, keep your ear to the ground. I don't know what they're, I told them, I said, I don't want to get into it, I just throw it out.
Would it be? I always think writing letters is good.
And that's what I suggest. I said, if you guys have a grievance, that's mostly what I'm saying, is that my answer to them was, come to the meeting, present your grievance, whatever it is.
There's kind of like always been like a chain of command. If you have a problem with somebody, you go to that person first.
Right,
If you
right.
don't get any response, then you go
And that's
to
what,
Mike.
that was the
If
first
you
thing
don't
I
get
asked.
any response, then you go to Doug. If
Yep.
you don't get any response, then you
Yep,
come
and
to
that's,
the board.
that was the first
And
thing I,
that's kind of how
Yep.
it's always.
and that was the
been.
very first thing I told them. I said, have you talked to the coach?
Mhm.
No. I was like, dude, not a board issue yet. But I said, I'll just let them know that there's call. That's all. So since I promised them I'd bring it up, there you go. That's all.
A good friend of mine once said that if you don't want to problems with parents, always just win after you.
Right.
Don't ever be too good, don't ever be too bad.
Yep.
If you win half your games, everybody's happy, and it's
Yep.
in a barrel, then
Yep.
nobody complains.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody's happy.
Yep.
But if you're too good or you're too bad,
You're gonna piss somebody
you're
off.
gonna make people mad.
Yep.
Just see what your coaching.
There's actually a grant.
500.
Even when you win all your games, you get problems.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's what he said. Too good, you got a problem.
Too good or too bad, and your coach is small. If you're just mediocre, I mean, nobody's complaining over there in Pilot Rock.
Yeah.
No, that's Pilot Rock, you better win.
Anything else? Okay, meeting adjourned.
So.
Yeah. Motivation.